Hello, and welcome back to Lightworker Training. My name is Tatiana, and the topic of today's video is go within or go without. Special shout out to my yoga teacher from, I want to say 2008. Yogi Nasser used to say that. I'm sure he's not the first person to say that, but it felt like a good title for this video. So in the last video, the significance of unresolved trauma, I talked about the importance of doing this inner world work, and I'm going to get more into that in today's video. So if you haven't seen that one, check it out. We are in part 2 or chapter 2, if you're following along in the book, Lightworker Training, A Practical Guide to Healing with Energy and Consciousness. That's the text of the Lightworker Training course. And these videos, I'm going to be covering the same kind of material, obviously in a different way, because I'm just here riffing. I do have a couple notes to keep me on track, but I'm not going to repeat everything I wrote in the book, because what's the point of that? So you can read chapter 2, the foundations of healing, and that's what we're talking about in this playlist. So what are the foundations of healing? So if you've missed the last couple of videos, let me just sum it up for you. To really do any healing work, you need to be present in your body, in your energy field. So your body is just a denser energy vibration within this individual field of energy. And so whether you're talking about, your auric field, the different energy bodies, the physical body, you need to be present. You need to bring your conscious awareness and your light to this space and completely fill it up. Take complete responsibility for it. Align yourself with love, which is your true nature. So just be yourself, be your true self, be your real self. Easier said than done. And that you showing up in that way, taking up all of this space so that there's no room for anybody else's shit, is what is healing. So what you do from there is going to be led by inspiration, imagination, intuition, your kind of empathic sense of what needs to occur. You're just going to be following a little breadcrumb trail of energy. And every time you do it, it's going to be different. So I'm going to give you just a toolkit that you can take on these adventures in Lightwork and apply whatever tool feels appropriate to that situation. That's something that you need to discover in the space of doing it, doing the practice. So we've been kind of hammering on this one, practice, practice, practice. If you're not actually doing it, you don't really know. So that goes back to the video I did called Act Like You Know. So if you haven't checked out that one, check it out. Maybe it'll light a little sacred fire under your butt and get you to show up for some of these practices. All right, so for today, we're talking about doing this inner work. So this is really key. That's why it's in the foundations. So I haven't described this particular technique in so many words in the text. I did refer to a great resource for this kind of process if you'd like to see it written out really explicitly, step by step. I'm going to refer you to Pete Walker's awesome book, Complex PTSD from Surviving to Thriving. So even if you don't feel like you really have trauma, please go back and watch that video, that the last video I did, the significance of unresolved trauma. I talked about how the system that we live in, there's all kinds of trauma being incurred. So even if it's I think I specifically referenced like being a small child in school and having to like hold your pee and not go to the bathroom and only not be able to drink water unless it's at a specific time, and maybe be really hungry but you can't eat until a certain time. So all of these things where you have to, sit still, not say anything, not say the wrong thing, don't get up at the wrong time, sit down at the right time. All of these things where we have to suppress our natural impulses. So getting self-control is really good, right? But there is a trauma-based mind control kind of thing going on within indoctrination in the school system. So that's just one tiny example. And there are a lot of things like this where it might not seem that significant, but if we haven't fully processed and resolved that trauma, it's going to be running programs behind the scenes. And these are the kinds of things that we think of it as like self-sabotage. And it is the self in the sense that we need to take full responsibility for dealing with it all. And if we're not, then we are sabotaging ourselves. So it wasn't the past self necessarily that purposefully incurred this trauma, right? The child wasn't like, hey, I'll go to school and get traumatized. That sounds like fun. But as the adult, it's our responsibility to show up and clear that stuff. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today, is how we do this. Okay, so as I mentioned before, it's really important to, when something comes up for healing, so what that means is an emotional reaction occurs. There's a really intense energetic charge on something. You feel triggered, however you want to say it. There's something coming up that feels, maybe it's frightening, maybe it's angering, maybe it's like you're just struck with grief or whatever, but you have kind of a intense emotional charge on something. That's how you know there's something there that requires healing. Something there is asking for your attention. So the intensity of the energetic charge shows you that the need for your attention. It gets intense to get your attention. Does that make sense? So if it doesn't have a charge on it, then it's been resolved. You worked through that. So you'll notice, even from your own experience, like you might have had things that were very triggering for you until you processed and worked through it. And then the same kinds of things could come up. And once you've done the processing, you wouldn't have the same kind of reaction. It's like you were over it, right? That's what we say, like, I got over it. Really, whether you want to think about it as climbing over or going under or through, we go through this process, and then when we come out the other side, we know we've processed it because there's no charge on it anymore. So that's how we know something's up for healing. So the thing that heals that, when that energy comes up, is your presence, right? We talked about presence, and we talked about this for the last couple of videos, getting present and bringing your awareness to, like I said just a bit ago, about filling up your whole field, your whole body with your conscious awareness. So a lot of times when this stuff gets triggered, we're kind of going, pew, pew, leaving our bodies and like going out there. It's that thing, it's that thing. We get pulled out of our own lane, so to speak. So we want to bring it back in, get centered, get grounded in this vehicle, in this field of energy. So this is self-centeredness is actually a good thing, but are you centered in Your true self, or are you centered in some bullshit ego belief system? That's where self-centeredness gets a bad rep. So, so when you get present, then that leads to more awareness. So if you're out there, kind of scattered around in your energy, looking for things out here, you're going to be missing out on all of the things going on in here that you could be aware of, right? So we want to get into our own space. We want to go within, right? Go within. That's the theme of this video. Go within and notice, feel what's going on. So there's a couple things we want to do first, and I talked about this in the last video. We want to ask, is there anybody else's stuff here? So just asking that question will bring up the energy of anybody else's stuff that's here. Then we can make the command, return to sender. Or I'm releasing any of this energy that's not mine. I'm sending it back. Use whatever words work for you. I like the question, who does this energy belong to? Return to sender. Is there anybody else's stuff here? Return to sender. Something like that. So then we want to tune in and see, are we still out there somewhere? So sometimes when there's a bunch of other people's crap, energies, entities, all kinds of crud in our space, then there's not a lot of room for us to bring our energy back in. So you want to clear that stuff and then bring yourself fully back in and really feel, take a few moments and a few breaths to really feel your energy in your body, and just imagine you could do a little scan to see, like, did I leave part of myself, part of my attention, part of my power? Did I kind of give that person my power, give that situation my power? You want to bring that back. And just imagine that you're reclaiming your energy. You're divesting from all the stuff out here and you're bringing it back here. You might find there's a lot of your energy out there. So you can't do anything powerful when you're all out here. You can't control anything out here. You bring it back here, and from here is your power place. This is where you can control everything. You can control everything that's going on in this field. That's the only place. But as you take charge of that, then you can influence the field of creation. But it only happens when you're totally in this field and claiming it, filling it up with your light. Okay, so you want to reclaim your energy, refill the tank, and you might find, wow, my field needs to be a lot bigger. Whoa, my grounding channel needs to be a lot bigger. And you might feel like you need to expand. A lot of times when trauma comes up, we start contracting, collapsing, and our energy is going out here and we're shrinking and we're kind of bracing for the next impact. That is not the way to do psychic self-defense or physical self-defense either. So you have to fill up with your power, and from there, you start doing these actions, you make the commands, you do whatever it needs to be done. So even a physical attack is coming at you. If you go like this, you're probably going to take the full hit. But if you move in toward the hit, then they don't really get a chance to fully impact, right? And they're probably like, what the they're not expecting, same thing with these energetic parasites. They're not expecting you to turn around and look at them and go, get the fuck out of here. They're like, what? She could see me? Because most people don't pay attention, don't ever look to see what's really going on. All right, I'm not going to get distracted. These are good distractions though. This is just extra information. I have so much, as you know, that I can say about all of these things. So I'm going to try to be concise. All right, so I'm going to talk about this process of going within and doing the inner world work. Sometimes I call it the inner world journey. So there's all kinds of journeys we can take. So journeying is like traveling in your imagination, doing things in your imagination. Your imagination is real. Your imagination is real. It's really powerful. It's like a superpower. So if you're not using your imagination, who does that benefit? That was me turning and looking at the parasite. They love creeping up behind. That's all they got. All they got is sneakiness and deception and distraction. I mean, they're really, really good at that, but they don't have any power. That's why they got to steal ours. Okay, so I want to talk you through this process. And I want to also give a little caveat that it's great to do this in a space with somebody who can really, really, really hold it. And sadly, not very many people can. So it's not really ideal to be doing this from a YouTube video. That's why I'm just going to give you the process, and then you can make notes. You can tune into how you want to run your own journey, and then you can go and practice it on your own. Okay, so I'm not gonna like go into some big trance space with you and talk you through a journey. I'm gonna keep it really grounded, and then you go do your journey afterwards. But I do feel it's important to give you this information because this work is so crucial. And like I said, not very many people are holding space for it properly. And so it's more important that you do it in a space where you can do it without incurring more trauma. So safe in the sense that you're not going to be making matters worse. So sadly, there are a lot of practitioners out there, a lot of kind of fake healers, fake shamans that are holding space for people to supposedly work through their trauma. And yet what's happening is they're actually making it worse. So I absolutely trust that there is perfection even in these things that we see as mistakes. I know that I've been through so much hardship and darkness in my life and things that seemed horrible, and I took it and I turned it into something amazing. And I know that everybody can do this. But I also just want to like put tools out there that can maybe help save some people from spending so much time recovering from stuff that's not helpful and maybe making it worse. So, Pete Walker talks about this in his book too, Complex PTSD. He talks about how it's better to do the work in a safe space, even if that's just his book or a book or within your own space, within your own imagination. You have to do it yourself anyway. You absolutely have to do it yourself anyway. Nobody is going to do it for you. Nobody can do it for you. No psychedelic substance is going to do it for you. It can certainly break you out of a mental pattern, and that can be helpful. You might get some new perception and epiphanies about things, and that can be helpful, but it's not going to do the work for you. You have to take that awareness and apply it in the practice yourself. Okay, so I'm hammering on this one a little bit because it's so important to know. And I think a lot of people are going out here looking for, oh, this person says they're trauma informed. Oh, this, psychedelic thing's going to help me heal all my trauma. Guess what? if you don't go within, you go without. You go without healing, you go without your power, right? You're putting your power out here, out here, out here. If any of that shit works at all, which sometimes it will a little bit, the only reason why it works is because you believe it works. You put your power into it, right? But eventually it's going to stop working, because the real lesson for all of us is to go within and master the self. So I talked about this self-mastery thing. Go check it out if you haven't seen that video. Okay, so here's the process. Okay, so step one, got to get present. Like I said, sort out the energy. Anything that's not you, return to sender. Anything that is you that's out here somewhere, bring it on in. Okay, then you want to tune in and feel what you're feeling. And it can be very helpful to say out loud what you're feeling. I know it seems corny the first time you do it. You're like, all right, I'm talking to myself. It's really powerful to say it out loud, but you don't have to. You can describe it in your mind. So you want to feel what you're feeling in your body and describe it. So it might be something like, well, I'm feeling this heaviness in my heart. Something like that, right? So then the next step, so we got get present, sort out the energy, right? And then feel it, describe it. So third step, when was the first time you felt this energy? So you want to tune into this question. When was the first time I felt, for example, heaviness in my heart? It could be anything, but I'm just going to use this as an example. When was the first time I felt heaviness in my heart? So when you ask that question, you want to be aware of anything that pops up into your mind. Maybe it's a feeling, maybe it's a word, pictures, it could be anything. People get messages in different ways, and this is how we build our intuitive awareness, which I'll be talking about a lot in chapter 4. So just pay attention to anything that comes to mind, even if it feels like you're making it up. You are making it up in a way. Imagination is real though. So why are you making that particular thing up? Check out imagination and intuition if you haven't seen that video yet. Okay. So you want to tune into when was the first time you felt this energy, whatever it is, just accept it or make something up, right? Okay, so we got get present, sort out the energy, feel what you're feeling and describe it. Then ask the question, when was the first time you felt this energy? And tune into the answer, right? So the fourth thing, you're going to imagine going into that time, the first time you felt this energy. You're going to imagine that you, as your adult self, your older, wiser, badass, totally taking responsibility for everything adult self, is going into that scene of the first time you felt it. And so you might see your younger self there, and this is good. You outpicture the self from the past. So it could be a child self, it could be a kid self, teenage self, baby self, could be anything. Doesn't really matter. But it could be you from a few days ago. And now your older, wiser self that's a few days older is going to go help that past self out. Okay. So you're going to imagine that you're going into that scene where that happened, and you're going to supply whatever the remedy is. So you just make up, because you know, and only you know. This is why nobody else can do it for you. You know what that past self experienced, what was lacking, what was there that shouldn't have been there, right? So you're probably going to go in and supply an energy that was lacking and or clear an energy that was there that shouldn't have been, right? So you might go in there and, that self like just needed some validation. So you might give that self some validation and just see what that self, how the self responds to it. And you want to keep going until it feels like that self is good, right? And it's almost like it never happened, right? That's what you're going for. You want to make it so that it's almost like it never happened and it's been resolved. You want to resolve it. That's what we're doing. We're resolving the energy because unresolved trauma is the issue, not resolved trauma. Once it's resolved, it's fine. Okay, so it might be that you need to give that past self some energy of protection. So maybe something really violent or horrific happened, and you might go in there and protect that self. You might go in there and just start taking people out. It doesn't really matter. It's whatever you imagine that is the remedy. You know what the remedy is. And you can do anything in your imagination. You have all of these superpowers in your imagination. So you just go in there, you take care of it until it feels like that self is like, hey, I'm good, right? Maybe you need to take that self someplace else. You do whatever needs to be done until it feels like it's good. Like it's just, there's no more charge on it. That self is like in a good place. Great. So then you come back to your body in this time and place. So that's the next step. When was that? That was step 4, where you journey in your imagination. You supply the remedy until it's canceled out that old trauma or that resolved that old trauma. Then you come back to your body, feel what you're feeling in your body, and describe something that you're feeling in your body. So what am I feeling in my body right now? And just maybe you're going to tune into what you're feeling. Like my example was the heaviness in my heart. I might go back to my heart and feel what I'm feeling. So if you feel something else come up in your body, then you can do the same process. So you could do this over and over. You could do it for one thing. You could sit there and go through and do it for a bunch of different things. At some point, it's going to get to the place where your body's like, I'm good. I don't need anymore. So that's the process. Okay. So just getting present, sorting the energies, number 1, right? Feel what you're feeling in your body and describe it. So it's like a parallel process, right? Because we're going to feel what we're feeling in our body and describe it. Then we're going to ask the question, when was the first time we felt this? We're going to go on the journey. We're going to come back and we're going to ask, what am I feeling in my body now, and describe it. So this thing of feeling what you're feeling in your body and describing it is what brings you back to the present and what brings up the energy of what you're working with. So that's important. It's important to, when you do any kind of journey, I'm been talking about this a lot more in chapter 4. So when you're doing any kind of journey, you want to have a set start and end, and you want to come back out the way that you went in. This is a good way to not lose a part of yourself somewhere out there. I feel like I gotta say some of this stuff because a lot of folks out there doing kinds of imaginational journey things and then never come back into their bodies, or people at night going and like doing all kinds of unconscious astral travel while they're sleeping, and their body's like, what the fuck, you never came back, so now I'm all sketched out. So shield before bed. I got links below with things like my free meditations. So if you don't know how to shield, there's a great one in there. The free ones that don't have the best audio quality, but it's probably no worse than this crappy mic I'm using right now. So it's just, it's not like professional quality recording on the free meditations, but they're really good tools. I've got grounding, I've got clearing emotional energy with the pink ray, I've got shielding, the 4-layered shield technique, I've got that sorting energy thing, like who does that belong to? I've got one on present moment awareness, which we also did in one of these videos. So check it out. It's on Odyssey. It's on my personal account, and I have a bunch of recordings in there, guided meditations. So yeah, if you don't know how to shield before bed, you can look at that. Please do your energy hygiene work every night. I'm just going to put that on your radar right now. If you only do energy clearing and cord cutting and shielding only once per day, and I do recommend doing it more than once, but when you first start, once is probably good because you're not super fast or super skilled at it yet. But do it before you go to bed. You're going to get so many benefits out of that. And yeah, okay. I'm not gonna I was about to launch into a whole sleep hygiene thing, and I'm not gonna go there in this video because what is it? I'm staying focused. So I think that's about all I wanted to say for this video. Go within or go without, please do the inner work. Anytime you feel this stuff come up, you might not be able to do it in the moment, but just bookmark it. And when it's kind of playing through your mind again and showing you that there's something painful here, then that's a good time to take some time out for yourself, do this process. It really doesn't take very long. In your imagination, you can do stuff really fast. So, and it gets faster the more that you do it. So check it out. Please feel free to throw comments up or questions. Get in touch with me if you need to. I come through the comments every once in a while and answer questions or, help out however I can. So yeah, I hope that's helpful. And I'll look forward to seeing you next time on Lightworker Training. Thank you so much. Bye for now.